Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso podcast, is a Boink Studios production. And now, on with the show.
Welcome back to the show, kids. Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso podcast. We have arrived. This is episode 3 of season 3. We are moving right along. It's not taking that long. It's taking a long time. It's fine. It's okay. We all have lives to lead. However, just like the Avengers, after we've done with our solo adventures around the globe, or the cosmos perhaps, we band back together. We reassemble to go fight the scourge of the week or the month, whatever. In this case, we're just podcasting. But don't take it away from me. This is really all I have. Tom Clark here with you as always, joined by Jay Luft and Joe Higgens. And yes, gentlemen, episode 3, season 3 is here. Can't wait to get talking about it. Joe, what do you got for us going into this one?
It's Zava, boys and girls. We see him in his full unhinged glory. I forgot how insanely brilliant he is. Like the brightest flame burns quickest in this case, but he's so good in it. And also we get quite a bit of a lot of stuff is revealed in this episode, which plays off for the rest of the season. But this is the Zava episode for me, and it's a cracker. I love it.
Jay, we've often said, as to Joe's point just now, we've often said, "Oh, I forgot about this. I forgot about that." I have forgotten so much of this, but I'm kind of glad I have, because when stuff happens that I didn't remember, it's like seeing it new for the first time. Yeah. Are you in the same boat? How much of this had you forgotten?
There was quite a lot of this episode that I'd forgotten, to be honest. I think it wasn't so much that I'd forgotten it. I just didn't think it would come this soon. I thought it was there was a lot of stuff that I thought happened later on in the series. This is a really good episode for kind of like world building and foreshadowing for what's to come, which we'll obviously get into when we get to certain parts. But it does a really good job of kind of like setting the stage for where we're going for the rest of the season. Especially with like a lot of characters who you don't really see a lot of normally, like Colin, for example. And even like a little bit more with like Trent, and obviously there's quite a lot of foreshadowing with Rebecca in this episode. But yeah, it is like a breath of fresh air, and as Joe said, it is the Zava episode as well, which that just makes me happy. There's so many little things that go on with Zava that I'm just like, that's amazing.
You're welcome.
So
You're
good.
welcome.
Yeah. God.
And yeah, I've got more Zlatan facts for
yes
the Zava episode as well.
Awesome. Yeah, this Zava's in full effect here, kids. And I'm telling you, if you've seen this before, you know how good it is. If you're watching it with us or going along in real time, then you're just now finding out. One of the coolest characters ever. I mean, this is the kind of character, guys, you could transplant into any other kind of related show and it would still make sense, because he's such an entity unto himself.
Yeah, so, he's an enigma wrapped in a vest. Yeah, it's just again, I think because I watched season 1 and 2 quite a lot, waiting for the third one to come out, and only did the third one once through when I watched it. It isn't as, like Jason, isn't as locked into my brain. And it's a delight going back to rewatch these, going, oh, these are tremendous. I love him. I think the tattoo killed me. I had to stop. I had to stop and just pause the thing and just stop laughing, because it's not even the most insane thing he does. It's brilliant.
Phil Dunster's facial expressions throughout this episode are fucking outstanding.
That scene reminds me, for some reason, of the Austin Powers bit where he's like, "No, it's not me. It's not my bag, baby." It's like, "No, wait, look, you wrote a book that says, yes, that's me. That's my bag, baby." And it's him on the cover doing the same pose. That's exactly what hit my head. So
Swedish-made penis enlarging devices.
That's it.
That's not me. Yeah.
Oh my. Well, kids, we're not going to make you wait any longer. let's go ahead and get to it here. Episode 3 of Season 3 is entitled 451. Original air date March 29th, 2023. And yes, as we've been saying before, it's just so happening that we're doing Season 3, and it's around the anniversary of that season. It's just a happy coincidence, yeah. But it's kind of cool that it worked out this way. So yeah, that's pretty fun. Directed by, and this is a new one for us kids, Destiny Ekaragha. Hope I'm not mispronouncing that. Story by Bill Wrubel. 12 episodes in Season 3, as we always like to remind you. And off we go. When last we left the Ted Lasso gang, we saw Roy and Keely begin to lead separate lives as Roy was forced to deal with everyone's surprise over their breakup, while Keely reconnected with and hired her old friend Shandy. Trent Crimm started shadowing the team for his new book about AFC Richmond. We always talk about foreshadowing, so that's where my head went. That's what I'll use. And Rebecca outsmarted Rupert by signing the hottest player in the game, Zava. We open this episode to the tune of Out of My Head by Fastball, and we see Colin in bed. He gets up, goes downstairs to see who we are going to assume is his boyfriend. And yes, kids, the things that we've sort of been connecting along the way, the comments that this character's made, just sort of been peppered through this series, have now come to fruition. Like we always like to say, guys, they like to plant seeds, and then the tree grows, and then we get to see the fruits of the tree after the fact. This is Michael, played by Sam Liu. He has made coffee, and Colin tells him he doesn't do caffeine, and Michael responds with, right, your body is a temple. Colin says, more like a church in an airport.
It's a great line.
That's a fantastic idea.
It's awesome. Michael says, big day for Richmond. He says, thought you didn't know anything about football. Oh, I don't, but I know who Zava is. Of course you do. So,
it's a global phenomenon. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So they kiss, and then Colin goes to leave. Did you notice how he struggled just a little bit to get into the car?
Get in the car. Yeah. He just bangs his head as he gets in. Like, he shouldn't have that car.
It's too much car for a man like him, as he says.
Yeah. Yes, the car that's too much for him. He takes a breath and says, I'm a strong and capable man. He cranks up and he goes to leave, and you hear the Mumford & Sons song start, but then he knocks over something and the song just stops.
A lovely little bit.
I forgot all about that.
Slapstickiness. It's Colin's mantra as well. I am a strong and capable, which is what
Dr. Sharon
gave him, and these it's
They'll take her advice.
These little callbacks and stuff. It's lovely to see. But hitting the bins again, Colin's a clown, isn't he? Like, it's beautiful.
I love Colin. He's genuinely one of my favorite characters because he's such a dope.
Because Dr. Sharon had gave him that, and he's like, I'm a strong and capable man. I am not a piece of shit. And she's like, I didn't. Where'd that come from? I didn't say that. Oh my. So we had a false start, but then we get the show kicked off here. We go to the dog track, and there's a banner welcoming Zava. The place is filled up with fans, and then we look into Ted's office where he's talking. We kind of get the inclination. Okay, it's not a game situation. They just all showed up to welcome him to the team.
It's a press junket thing, isn't it? It's
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What? So, Jay, would this be a normal occurrence? You'd fill up the place just to welcome a guy?
For a signing like on the level of Zava, yeah, absolutely. Like usually you see, it's usually Real Madrid and Barcelona who do it, where they'll make a marquee signing, and then they'll get like the press and some fans into the stadium and get footage of them like kicking the ball around in the kit for the first time. All a lot of like pomp and circumstance, to be honest. It doesn't happen as much in English football, but again, like someone on that caliber, if they signed for like a team like Richmond, they'd absolutely want to milk it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Also, the terrifying Zava mask that person's wearing.
Yeah, with the eyes cut out.
Awful thing. Yeah, imagine that coming at you down an alleyway. No.
Oh, it's fun. Yeah, they're excited, man. Yeah. There's banners, welcome Zava, we love you, Zava. I mean, it's freaking nuts. So we go to Ted's office, and he's talking Their Beard and Roy are both in there. He says, okay, so obviously Zava's going to be moving into our starting lineup, which means if my maths, Roy nods, are correct, and Roy shakes his head.
Just lovely little bits of Ted in that, like, he understands maths is the correct use of the word, but then can't help himself by just to annoy Roy. Like,
yeah,
all the way through this, especially with like, the Wolverhampton bit.
I was going to say the Wolverhampton thing as well. It's just brilliant.
And Beard is just as well. Like, he knows he's doing it as a wind up. It's just brilliant.
And you know, we all the way back to season 1, kids. Ted said it. We all agreed, and he was right, that Roy was the first domino to fall. And like once we get Roy, we got him. And then
Roy's 100% on the hook at this point. Like, he puts up with Ted's nonsense because he gets results. Like, he knows his heart's in the right place. But you can see, like, no, just all the time. It's a lovely little triangle they have, and a triangle, but just the bouncing between those three, and then when Leslie comes in as well, it's even better. But yeah, the Diamond Dogs is
and
Trent's there as well. Yeah.
Well, Trent, I think by the end of the scene, like seeing it kind of like shows that Trent's kind of like took Nate's place almost in the Diamond Dogs. Like he's very much entrenched within like that inner circle that Ted's got within the office.
Yeah,
because last week they wouldn't let him talk to anyone, and this week he's involved into these deep, meaningful conversations.
That's true.
Don't write that.
He says, well, it's pretty obvious here that Colin's not going to be starting because Zava's got to take somebody's spot. And Roy says Colin's a chameleon. He can change depending on the situation. I didn't bump into that until later, and I thought, that's a nice little bit of... Right?
Yeah.
He is a chameleon.
Yeah. Hiding in plain sight, yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. Beard says, bigger issue is you put Zava up front, either Jamie or Danny's going to have to drop back to midfield. Ted says, who do we think will take the news better, Danny or Jamie? Beard, Ted, and Roy, all three together says Danny.
Danny.
This is, no.
Another big Danny episode as well. Like, there's moments in this where I'm like, oh, God. His hair as well is lovely in this episode.
It's true.
He's got beautiful hair.
He does. Ted says, Jamie's like a lot like my mom's Precious Moments figurines collection. Trent who's also there. Yeah, I have no idea what that means. Roy says, he's a fragile little bitch, which is good. Ted says, brevity is nice, but sometimes clarity is the true soul of will. Thank you, Roy. The true soul of wit. That could be from something, but I don't know what it's from. I never looked it up.
No, the expression is honesty is the brevity of wit, or whatever it is. Yeah, it is a well-known phrase, and he's just there's some very there was what was it? It's my stomach's got more knots than Wayne's World 1 and 2. It took me a long time to understand that. I was like, oh, because you used to do that knot bit, didn't they? After
Well done.
Yeah, it took me way too long to get that.
Because at first I thought he meant there were problems with the plots or something. The story was screwed up.
And then I was like, oh no, it was just that Pauly Shaw sort of thing of,
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. Higgins comes in. He says, it's almost 10 o'clock. We should probably get going. Ted says, you feeling okay? He says, I'm a little bit nervous. Had some diarrhea earlier this morning. Then looks at Trent and says, please don't put that in your book.
And Trent's like, I'm not very good at spelling. And then Beard spells it again. Apart from because it's the UK, you put an extra U in there or something.
An O.
An O. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, because oh my, I've got diarrhea.
Oh my, I've got diarrhea.
Then Ted makes the line about the bit about Wayne's World 1 and 2, which is good. And he says, look, I've been around great athletes all my life. Heck, Roy, you're a great athlete. Roy goes, not like Zava. He says, oh, come on. Don't sell yourself short. If anything, sell yourself tall and get it altered later. What? And then Roy says, yeah. Right.
Me, because I've got weird hip to leg ratio, I have to buy long trousers and have them shortened. It's annoying.
Roy says Zava's different. Just watch. Would Roy, before Ted, have been able to admit this out loud, do you think?
I think probably, yeah, because he's been playing at Chelsea, like they're a team that have a lot of money, get a lot of like big name players in. He's probably less like phased as like some of the Richmond players are, because he's used to being around like players of that caliber, and he's probably able to kind of recognize like someone who's like head and shoulders above like a lot of other talent, like Zava would be.
Also, Roy's grown a lot over the past two seasons. If it was season one, Roy, he wouldn't have. I don't think he would have been. He'd have just no. But because he knows his limits and his role now, and that he wasn't a great football player, but he was a good football player. He's just like, but Zava is god tier level footballing. Whereas Roy,
he's one of those. He's a player that the game comes to him, and that's in reality. And almost every professional league, I would say, there's a handful of guys that you're like, I don't know, like Wayne Gretzky comes to mind. Beckham, the only perhaps.
Man I'd have sex with, yeah.
Well, there, that too, perhaps. But guys that like, they just look like, and they're putting the time in the gym and they're working out, they're doing drills, but they get out to the game and you're like, this looks too easy for him. You know what I mean?
There's a bit much later on that I will circle back round to it, but there is the Jamie Zava Roy conundrum, shall we say, which we'll get to when we get to it. I have thoughts. I had a moment of awakening. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. It's a different dynamic for sure. Ted says we can't just watch. We got to make this fella part of the team. We had a very quick cut to Trent, who did not raise an eyebrow, but possibly could have, because I'm thinking you're not going to be able to do that. You did with Jamie, and we all thought you couldn't. So kudos to you, but this is not Jamie. But it's okay. We'll find out together. He says coaching a superstar can't be all. How do you solve a problem like Maria? Although if you ask me, the Nazis were the real problem in that story. Am I right, Coach? Beer says, yeah, come on, Mother Superior. Let's have a little perspective. They're back to the musical stuff again. I get so lost because,
Oh, it's Sound of Music.
Right.
But it's the fact he goes, sorry, Roy, I know you don't like the musical theatre talk. And Roy's just like, But then they have this.
Roy's like, I'll let it slide because Julie Andrews.
Because of Julie Andrews, yeah. I love her and I still probably would.
Yeah.
He says, all right, we got to do it.
This whole about Julie Andrews, and it just comes out of left field, straight out of nowhere. All right, name your favourite Julie Andrews characters. It's just like, what's happening here?
Yeah. This bit takes forever, too. Roy says, fuck it, Maria. Ted says, resolute as always. Coach, what you got? Eliza Doolittle. Ooh, audio-only performance. I love that. Professor Higgins. Come on, you Poppins.
But that, Professor Higgins, isn't that the guy from My Fair Lady? Like,
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that is the I'm sure I may be wrong, but I'm sure that's a little joke within a joke. Like,
look that up, Jay.
I'm sure it is Henry Higgins. I think he is. He's supposed to be Professor Henry Higgins. He's the one that teaches her how to be a lady.
Yep. Professor Henry Higgins.
Is this how the character got his name?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Well, it's not Destiny Higgins, isn't he? But
well, I'm saying, like, someone on this show is a musical guy. It's Sudeikis or somebody's got.
He goes Eliza Doolittle, and immediately he's in there with Professor Higgins. Like, he knows his musical theatre. Yeah, again, just a good little joke within a joke, and again, it's only when you've said it now that I've gone, that's a joke. Like, I didn't pick it up at the time. It's so well written. It scares me.
He says, Trent gets a turn. He says, Clarice Rinaldi, Queen of Genovia.
Ooh.
And they're Roy says, fuck yeah, Princess Diaries. That was Diaries. Awesome. Oh, really good. We go to the locker room and Zava has 4 lockers. This blew my mind. He has 4 lockers for each letter of his name. Yeah. Yes.
Corner, though, isn't it?
Man. Danny, to your point, Joe. When I was a boy, I played in Zava boots. I slept in Zava boots. I made love for the first time to Zava boots. Zoro says, I think you mean in Zava boots. No. And he just leaves it hanging there.
Danny was banging shoes. What?
And Sam says, hey, last night at the restaurant as the painters were finishing up, I spent a very pleasurable hour on YouTube watching Zava's Greatest Goals. By the end, my head was spinning. Though it may have also been the paint fumes.
Paint fumes. But I love how all of these people who are like, top level footballers are still like giddy schoolgirls around this. It's weird to watch. I mean, Danny, I understand, because Danny, as we've already established, is a golden retriever, isn't he? He's just enthusiastic about everything. But like Sam has always been quite stoic and like. But it's just great to see. The only person that isn't into it, as we find out, is Jamie. I don't, because they've stolen his corner.
Yeah, they do a really good job of like kind of showing the flip side of it, where like obviously a big player comes in and it can disrupt, like can be like kind of like a cat amongst the pigeons and disrupt like the team, like sort of the harmony of the team. And obviously it doesn't disrupt all of the team harmonies. We find out it is just Jamie, but it's one of those things where you can kind of see where like how it's gonna help Jamie become the better player that he does become is because of this.
Well, I think it teaches him a little bit of humility, because he was Zava before, and now he's having to take a step back and go, well, I'm not top dog anymore. And it's,
And to your point, Joe, of the guys being in awe of Zava, way back to episode 1 with the Allen Iverson reference with the, we talking about practice thing. When he was inducted in the NBA Hall of Fame, he took the stage and talked about meeting Michael Jordan for the first time in the All-Star game. And he said when he stepped on the court, he visibly had an aura around him that you could see. And the whole room is laughing except Iverson, who kept a straight face. He said, I'm not kidding. He said, first time I met the guy, he had an aura around him. He's like, he just stands out from everybody else. Like,
yeah. Really like good. We all must have met someone like famous or something that you admire and respect. And there is just something about them that, it is. It's a genuine thing. I'm not like a visible aura, like they've been eating ready break. There's a reference for no one. But it is a thing. Some people just have a thing about them. What was I believe it was, or at least say about Bill Clinton, was that he could make you feel like you were the only person in the room. In the crowd of people, he would talk to you, and it would be such. And he remembered. And it's a skill. Anyway,
I've worked with people like that before, and it does stick with you. That's 100% true. So Richard even gets in on it. We don't get enough Richard in the show.
We don't, and he's nice.
the way Zava moves on the pitch, whoosh, like a panther, so sexy, huh? Isaac says, "Sounds a bit gay, bruv." And you get Colin just for a moment. He hears this and goes, "Well," Richard says, "Well, I'm gay." For Zava, I mean. Sam says, "That's true. Some men have a charisma that transcends orientation." And he goes, Paul Newman, Idris Elba, Norm Macdonald, and they all agree with the Norm Macdonald bit.
Norm Macdonald,
Oh, I would hope Sudeikis put that in for Norm. So that's nice. Jan's.
They all know who Norm Macdonald is. I always thought Norm Macdonald was quite a specialty comedy nerd kind of goldmine. Yeah,
he definitely is.
Yeah, but the fact that like Sam and Jan Maas know who. Well, Jan Maas probably does, but it's just, and I assume it's because when they've been playing away and they were watching videos, because they all did movie night, didn't they? At some point, someone's put a 20-minute Norm Macdonald routine on.
Yeah.
It's true.
Just little world building, like it just shows the bonds that they have formed.
I've got a couple of his comedy albums, and they're freaking awesome. I love that guy.
I love it. It's it's the deadpanness of it.
Yeah. And then the way he would crack a joke and stay while you were, and like it'd give you that couple more seconds of just eye contact while you're starting to laugh. Best thing ever. His timing was great.
I can't remember what he was called, but again, this is the club opposite my house used to do comedy nights on it, and it's mostly kind of like my mother-in-law kind of stuff. But there was one guy who was like Norm Macdonald, like with the long pauses and just the waiting. And at the start of it, people were talking over it. By the end of it, he had everyone on the hook.
That's
and I was
awesome.
like, this was beautiful. It was. I've never been able to find any of his stuff online because I was like, it was like Norm Macdonald and Emo Phillips combined. It was beautiful because the jokes weren't like Norm Macdonald level jokes. But anyway, move on. Sorry.
What's cool is that Jan steps up and says Zava is definitely one of those charisma unicorns, which is Really good line. Colin says, okay, guys have convinced me. I'll have sex with Zava. And I'm like, man, you're getting, all right, well, let's go with this. All right, it's cool with me, you know.
But he has done these kind of jokes before, hasn't he?
That's fair.
And it's like, as we found out, it's the chameleon. It's
hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, yeah. And like Jamie, as we've said, is not happy with this. He comes in, he says, what the fuck is this? He's not a happy guy. Yeah. Ted comes in, he says, all right, fellas. He says, let's everybody head out to the pitch. And he tells Jamie, he says, come on, man, hurry up and get dressed. We don't want to keep our newest teammate waiting. And we can see here that Jamie is more concerned than ever before. Jay, so let me ask you this. What signing, if you could pick one off the top of your head, jumps out at you that's similar to this, like it's a smaller club that lands such a big fish? Is there one that immediately jumps into your head?
I wouldn't say a smaller club that I don't know. Actually, there's been a couple of times like throughout like the years, not so much recently, but like where teams have kind of signed. It's usually a player who, again, they sort of like do this with Zava, where it's a player who's like kind of like nearing the end of their career, and it's not like one last big payday, but it's more like one last sort of challenge. The last one where I can think of that sort of like not so much disrupted it like this, where because it's only one player who's disrupted, but where it disrupted a team was Cristiano Ronaldo going to Manchester United a few years ago, where like he went back to a team that he'd played for when he was younger. Obviously Manchester United are a very big club, and it was more of a commercial signing than it was signing a player that the team needed, and he just disrupted the whole squad, and they really underperformed that year. And
wow,
he ended up leaving on quite bad like terms because of it, because he wasn't a good fit. He didn't want to be there. He didn't like the manager, and again, it was just a more of a commercial exercise where
like the dollary dues. I didn't realize. So you said it then as well that Zava. This must be the tail end of, because he's been playing for 20 years at this point, hasn't he?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this must be the tail end of his career. Yeah, like, and it never occurred to me that until now that like
it's obviously because something happens later on the series.
I can't even remember what happens. Like, that's the goodness of it. It's coming in with fresh eyes.
Yeah, like you tend to see a lot of players like of that level now who are, again, like the sort of tail end of the career. Like Cristiano Ronaldo's doing it. Messi has gone to America. You tend to see a lot of like players, as I say, that sort of like twilight of the career will go to a club just for like one last payday or one last challenge, depending on how you look at it and who they're going to. I think Zlatan did it with where he went back to AC Milan, who were like one of the clubs that he kind of become like a massive namer. He went back to and did like a few seasons there to retire, and still was amazing. I think he holds the record for like the oldest goal scorer in the Italian league. Or something like that. Anyway, it's yeah. Either way, he's you do see it happen quite a lot.
It happens over here too. The pro leagues happens all the time. A guy who's put a lot of time in, but he's still got a bankable name and can draw money. Jesus, pro wrestling kids. Sorry, but you get the idea. Yeah,
it's all the same. Yeah,
but it's the same here too. So we go out to the stadium and everyone's waiting. The reporters are getting bored. Everyone's like, all the fervor is kind of relaxed.
Yeah, I think like the two kids playing slaps, which I liked, because I was like, oh man, I've not thought about slaps in ages. Yeah.
No.
Rebecca, Keely, and Higgins are there, and Rebecca's getting worried. She says, where the hell is he? We do have a signed contract, don't we? Of course. We have an e-signature. That's legally binding, I think.
And Higgins is so like good at his job, but also massively incompetent at times.
Yeah.
He says, yeah, exactly. He says his agent has a her phone, but she's tracked his phone, which is currently in Mykonos. Wonderful. Rebecca says, if he has changed his mind again, I'm going to look like an absolute arsehole. Keely says, maybe we can try and cheer them up somehow. Shandy
appears, and I was like,
from nowhere.
I quite like Shandy. In this episode, I quite like Shandy.
Really? Yeah. I'm a complete opposite.
In this episode, like the last episode, I hated her. This one, I find her quite endearing because she's at least trying a bit. And also, we find out one interesting fact about her, which I'm obsessed with. But
I liked one thing she did, and it's at the end. But yeah, she's from out of nowhere here.
Take my top off and run across the pitch, and I was like, eh.
Rebecca says you must be Shandy, just like that. Like she would just know.
Away. I was like, do you remember streaking like in sports? You don't get it as much anymore, do you?
No, very rarely.
They were fun. I used to think. I mean, bit of public nudity. What's not to like?
Now you just get the Just Stop Oil people protesting and like
which is fine. It's a justifiable cause, but yeah, don't interrupt my snooker by throwing orange powder onto the bays, mate, because they had to hoover that open.
Did you see the guy who like bike chained his neck to the to a goalpost?
Yes, bless him.
And like
the guy that carried him off is the star of that, isn't he? Yeah, but it's just a really grumpy dude just launching this like
stopped the game for like 20 minutes while he had to like hacksaw through this fucking bike chain.
Jeez,
I get it.
Man.
It's a justifiable cause.
It's a good cause, but there's better ways to protest for sure.
Yes, but if you're not doing it to interrupt people, is it a protest?
That's a good point. Shannon says it's.
Yeah, I was going to get sidetracked there. I was going to say just do it during something like the House of Lords or something where the Tories are ruining shit. Don't do it during like a football game where it's like...
Yeah, don't do it during the snooker Grandmaster finals,
Yeah, people aren't going to get on board with that because you've inconvenienced like the everyman, not fucking...
That's the point of it. Yeah. Anyway. This is not...
I thought you were going to talk about the House of Black. I'm here for that. I'm here for that conversation.
Left-wing politics corner. No.
Yes.
I saw Joe's lovely T-shirt. And it triggered me.
Uh-oh. We're getting political here on this show. It's what we do.
I always have
There's some American politics coming later, and I got thoughts.
Yes. Yeah.
So Shandy says it's nice to finally meet you. You know, I'd love to go for a coffee and pick your brains sometime. Like, how tall are you? Like, who talks this way?
And just like Keely went to Rebecca and got like actual advice about how to be a strong, successful business person. And Shandy's first question is, "How tall are you?" It opposite ends of the scale. Like,
no kidding.
Yeah. Again, it's like Keely's trying to emulate what Rebecca did with hair.
Yeah.
But like Shandy's
she's backed the wrong horse.
Yeah. Shandy's very like one-dimensional. Like she's obviously had like that smart like thing with like the camera shot, and it's all like that's pretty much like what Keely's gone. Oh, okay, you offer a lot more to this, which is fine, but also at the same time it's like, well.
But you can see like there's a moment in Keely's face where she's kind of resigned to the fact that this is. She's shadowing me today to learn about and.
Yeah, I think the thing with it is that she kind of comes across more embarrassed of Shandy than like.
Yeah. Like, this is my protege.
Yeah.
It's more of, and here's Shandy. Yeah. Because again, like the first question she asks, "How tall are you?" It's a nothing question. Like there's so many other. If you really wanted to learn, you would ask. You know, you wouldn't go on Dragon's Den or whatever it's called in America, and the first thing you asked was like, "How tall are you?" It just shows the level that she's working at.
Oh yeah.
I still love it. I still thought it was a great line.
They're nervous, and Rebecca's talking about she's late for something. She doesn't want to tell Keely what it is. We'll find out later. And then
mysterious Rebecca, I love it.
Yeah, that's a good line.
They're back and forth. Like their friendship is is lovely.
Oh yeah, for sure.
From the fact that in season 1 Rebecca couldn't stand her, and Keely just wore her down with kindness and genuinely being a friend. But it's the fact that like Rebecca's kind of ashamed of like where she's going.
Yeah. Ted comes up and what's that?
Keely would understand. Keely's gone to a tarot reading or some shite. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just Rebecca doesn't want to say it out loud. Who amongst us would? I wouldn't say it out loud.
No. I wouldn't be there in the first place, but yeah.
No. Yeah. I'd rather just admit I use the Magic 8 Ball ordinarily, which I do. So it's made some serious life decisions for me. So
there's more honesty in a Magic 8 Ball than there is to some charlatan with a massive forehead. Yeah.
Yes. 100%. Ted comes up and he says, "Hey guys, are we sure that Zava has the right address? I hate to think he's sitting in the middle of Virginia right now waiting on us, Higgins comes back and says, "So I just talked to legal about Zava's contract. An e-signature is 100% binding. Tiny wrinkle. Instead of signing his name, he signed, 'You're welcome.'"
You're welcome.
Love that.
At no point did anyone check when he signed it until now. Like it's so good.
That's a direct reference to Zlatan.
Yes, as we said last week. Yeah, with the
saying you're welcome for me being here.
Man, Ted says, "Hey, look, superstars play by their own rules. Back in '98, I waited over 3 hours for Public Enemy to take the stage at this joint called the Cubby Bear. When a man with a giant clock around his neck is that late, it ain't about time. He's making a statement." This is good. Rebecca says, "Right, I'm calling it. We're going to go upstairs and figure out what to do next. Leslie, I want you to talk to the crowd and tell them something." He goes, "Of course, Rebecca, I got this. Back in my uni, my DJ name was Damage Control." And Keely says, "I didn't know you DJ'd." "I didn't actually, but I had the name ready if I ever started."
Oh, good.
The little fat nuggets that Higgins has all the time are awesome.
The little bits he drops out there are just tremendous. Higgins is
he's great.
He takes the podium. And he says, "Welcome, Richmond," and you hear a guy say, "Who the fuck are you?" Which is awesome.
And immediately we get the noise.
So Rebecca is power walking to her office with Ted and Keely in tow. She says, "I can't believe this is happening. Why does anyone put up with this lunatic?" Keely says, "Because as humans, we adapt to accommodate genius. Who was the greatest actor alive? Or was before he retired?" Rebecca says, "Daniel Day-Lewis." Ted says, "Tony Curtis." "Oh, you said live?" "Jackie Chan." Wait, you said retired? Daniel Day-Lewis. The fact that he put Jackie Chan in there is wonderful.
Yeah, Police Story's great. But yeah, again, just these little Ted bits. Oh yeah. Hey, what was it? He texted his co-stars as Abraham Lincoln. That wouldn't make sense. Abraham Lincoln's hat would have kept falling off.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That was Ted's reasoning behind that. So
yeah, but not where you thought it was going to go. He didn't know what phones were. No, his hat fell off.
As they're standing in front of the door, and Rebecca says, "This Zava might be a genius, but he's definitely a self-absorbed prick." Did we all know he was in her office?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's good.
100%.
Your desk is full of biscuit crumbs.
What a great thing to say for.
And there was a box of them on there. Like Ted's still doing this every day, going in with his box of biscuits every day.
Yeah,
which is, wish I'd done at work.
She says, "What the fuck are you doing? We've waited 2 hours for you. Time is a construct, like gender and many of the alphabets."
Many of the alphabets. Everything is a construct if you look at it like that. And this is the beauty of Zava. Oh. It's faux deepness. And that's why I love him. It's all these profound statements that are idiotic if you actually look at them from not like rose-tinted glasses. If you look at Zava as a person, he's an idiot who, because he's just rich and famous, has been allowed to get away with this kind of nonsense but yeah, like most alphabets, he believes that some alphabets are real, but not the Cyrillic one, the Greek one in the bin. Yeah,
I feel like that's a perfect segue for a Zlatan fact that I've got.
Go for it. Yes.
Do it.
So there is a Swedish verb named after Zlatan. To Zlatan is to dominate something or do it with extreme talent.
What?
Shut up.
I like
Is that real?
I like that.
That's real, yeah.
Wow. I might start using that.
You're going to Zlatan things.
Yeah. I'm going to Zlatan the heck out of a pizza later. Yeah.
So she tells him to get out of her chair. By the way, that's freaking great, Jay. I love that. She tells him to get out of her chair. Yeah. And so he does, and then she says, "Hey, this is your coach." And so Ted goes in with the hand, and so does Zava, and then Zava crosses its body like it's a pledge of allegiance. My leader, I'm an empty vessel filled with gold.
I'm an empty vessel filled with gold. How is it empty?
Yeah.
Me, Zava.
Oh,
I am your rock. Mold me. Rock, famously unmoldable.
Yes. It's at that point that you're like, oh, he's kind of stupid. Like,
he's an idiot.
Yeah. Like he's Jamie. If Jamie were better spoken, like, you know what I mean? Oh my goodness.
He's like Jamie, who's like more well traveled.
Yeah. Jamie, if he did one lesson on like theology or anything like just a basic understanding, like he'd be wearing. Jamie did one thing about philosophy. He'd be wearing a beret. Like, it's that kind of thing.
Yeah,
that's Zava. I still love it.
It's awesome. Ted whistles and he says, "Well, hey, if you score goals like you talk, we're gonna be just fine, buddy." And then he introduces her to Keely. She says she handles all her publicity. He kisses her hand. He says, "My queen, my actions today have made your job much more difficult." She goes, "No, don't worry about it. No such thing as bad press, right?" He says, "My integrity disallows me to agree with that statement." I'm still trying to make heads or tails of where he ended up there. This allows me.
It doesn't. Yeah, it's double negatives.
I don't know. Like, I still don't know what it means. Like,
no, it sounds intelligent while saying nothing. Yeah.
Rebecca's like, "Oh, for God's sake!"
So Rebecca sees right through it.
100%. Yeah,
she's so done with this shit.
Yeah, Rebecca.
Ted, and now this is in the mix. Sweet. Yeah.
I mean, the whole team is just, the characters are freaking nuts, man.
Yeah.
But of course, it's a show. But Higgins and Shandy come in, and Higgins stops when he sees Zava. Higgins says, "Oh my God, you're here." And Zava goes, "And you are there." And Rebecca says, "And this is Leslie Higgins, our director of football." And Zava does the thing where he takes him by the side of the head and
grips his head.
Yeah.
Does forehead to forehead with him. And he says, "You are the glue." And he says, "Thank you very much." When they pull back, Ted is right there, like for comical effect.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Ooh, it's awesome." Zava says, "I will go to see the team now." And he just walks away. And she calls after him. Rebecca does. "Do you know where you're going?" "I do not." And he just keeps walking.
That's
oh my God.
all you need to know about Zava. Like, confidence with lack of wherewithal. Yeah. I best go follow him.
That's too fun. That is too fun. Yeah. And Rebecca asks Higgins how the damage control thing went, and Shandy speaks up. She said, "Oh, it was a mess, but he was adorable." And suddenly Higgins, who, by the way, walked up with her, says, "Who is this?"
Who is
this? And Keely says, "This is Shandy. We work together, and she's a great friend of mine." And Higgins goes, "Oh."
That's such a good running joke.
Yeah, like, so awesome. They're all like, "Oh my, this is not going to end well." Yeah. And plus the understanding of, oh, that's why I get it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ted goes to the locker room and asks if Zava came through, and that just like striking a match in a gasoline pit because all the players just instantly start buzzing, And then Zava comes in. Music is playing. It's almost slow motion, but not quite. He barely touches Zorro's shoulder, and you can hear Zorro whisper, "He touched me," which is really cool. And I like when he went to Roy, he just And Roy just very subtly nodded back. Like they're the two pros in the room. Like, you know what I mean? Like nothing cornball needed to be said there. Do you know what I'm saying? So
mutual respect and understanding. But also, I thought Roy Kent was quite tall. Zava must be massive.
Yeah,
probably is. I think as well with like that, they probably given like the kind of sort of in the sort of same like sort of like age bracket. I'd say they probably played against each other at some point.
Yeah.
So it's probably like an actual mutual respect thing.
Oh, good point, Jay. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Danny says he's like an angel. Jan says, "Why are you downgrading him? He's clearly a god."
Downgrading him.
He's clearly a god.
Clearly a god.
Zava stops right in front of Ted, who does this comical look around him because he walks right in front of him, and Ted has to, come over. This happens a few times in here.
Again, and I was like, is this a reference to The Sound of Music with the So Long Farewell song where they pop out from around the side? It isn't, but again, just little bits that makes you think.
You know what, though? Look, everything's connected.
Could be.
Yeah. Zava stops and
funny.
Oh, it's hilarious. He goes, "I will begin by addressing the most important person in the room. Which of you is the kit man?" And he's looking around. And he looks at Jamie like, mostly. Is there a planet on which he doesn't know who Jamie Tartt is? Is that possible? Like,
probably, yeah.
I don't think Zava only knows Zava and does not see anyone else other than just formless grey blobs. Like, he's just...
So, the thing with Jamie at this point is he's been like a youth prospect from Man City. He's been loaned to Richmond. He's then quit football and then rejoined Richmond. So he won't be, like, obviously everyone knows how talented he is, but he won't be as big of a name as he should be at that point, which is why, like, him becoming a better player this season's like where he's like becoming that megastar.
That's good. So Will finally steps forward. Zava steps to the side, once again blocking Ted, who has to sidestep from behind him. Zava says, "I too worked as a ball boy for a club when I was just years old." What was it, 12 years old? Will says, "I'm 25.
25?
No way is this actor 25. Is that true? Because
he probably is.
I know.
He looks so young. He looks so young to me. Wow. And he says, "Your passion is why I play." And then he looks at the guys and he says, "My team, my brothers, breathe with me." And this breathing bit goes on for 30 minutes. I swear to God, it takes forever.
It's the classic comedy thing of it stops being funny and then goes back to the top of being great again. Yeah. But it's Ted's face as well. Ted's like, Ted's just confused by breathing at this point.
Yeah.
Because at first it's breathing, then it sounds like asthma by the end of it. Yeah. Jeez.
All the team are like just in his tractor beam. Like, he's got them. Like, they're just in awe of this man. Apart from Jamie, who's just keeps doing these scornful looks. These scornful looks of, yeah.
Although Roy doesn't get involved either, does he?
Roy wouldn't, would he?
Roy's
time for this.
He watches them.
So Roy's watching Jamie's reaction, and at first he's enjoying it, but he does. By the end of the episode, he will have obviously kind of realized, all right, this is where I need to kind of be like a supportive figure and a coach.
Yeah, which I have thoughts on when we get to it. Yeah,
That's awesome. Zava says, "We are now one. There is no me. There is no you. There's only the we and the us, and the we and us." What the fuck are you talking about, man?
I thought it was a joke about weenus, but yeah,
I did too. Yeah. He then turns, goes into Ted's office, and just shuts the door.
Nonsense.
It's nonsense.
It sounds deep and profound, but when you break it down, it's gibberish. Yeah, and
when he walks, he just walks away, oblivious to everybody around him.
He's so good. Whoever the actor is tremendous at just being this profound knobhead.
Yeah.
We announced his name last week, but I don't have it in front of me this time.
Maximilian Azinski.
Maximilian, yeah.
That's it.
Which, again,
so Ted
is a tremendous name.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ted says, let's go in there and have a word really quickly before he scurries off. Everybody else, just go ahead and keep breathing amongst yourselves. And Danny goes, he's so much more down to earth than I imagined. What? No, he's not.
No.
They go in and Zava's at the grease board. Which one of these is me? And Ted doesn't know what to say. Roy pops him in the shoulder and says, you're the fucking coach? And he says, well, you know what? We were thinking the top right or left or left or top left, whichever one you want, really. Zava turns around. He says, I'm excited to be here. And when he leaves the board, all the players are behind him. He's out in front. So, guys.
Again, it's like a 20-second bit of him doing. You think he's going to be doing some huge tactical play thing over, and he's the board, and he's doing all this stuff. And all he's done is put everyone else in a circle and him at the front.
Once again,
it's so dumb.
It's so dumb. But once again, guys, we have this problem, and this is going to be a problem in the long term, not short term, long term, because this team has worked hard to become a real team. Jamie's learned how to play along with him and keep himself in check to evolve to the player he is now. They're tight. They have bonds. And now here comes this guy. And I actually put the word prima donna in my description before we even got to that scene later. So
again, I had to pause at that point. Just Jamie's incredulous face.
Yes.
So
yes. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Jay, as the expert, I'll throw it to you here. Like, this team's playing well, and I get the concerns are we don't want to get, regular or like kicked down again, that kind of thing. But like, I don't know, man. Short term, this guy will do it for you, but long term, you're affecting the chemistry of this team, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the whole thing with Zava kind of like moving everyone away and him on his own at the front, that's basically tied into the title of the episode, 4-5-1. That's a formation in football. So 4 defenders, 5 midfielders, 1 goal, 1 striker. And it's basically, even though obviously he's not put it in that formation, it's Zava's way of saying, I am a lone striker. I do not need someone playing alongside me. Because obviously before they had it as like a 4-4-2, which is like, 4 defenders, 4 midfielders, 2 strikers, which is kind of like the most traditional football formation that you generally kind of see. So 4-5-1's more kind of like a lone striker who you've got the midfield then built around that striker, and everything is going through the midfield to him, pretty much, which is what Jamie and Danny were kind of doing together up front. So already you're seeing they're moving Jamie out and Danny back further down the pitch, and as a result of that, then they've had to drop Colin. So there's a lot of different things that happen in there where it's like, well, this is ultimately disrupted the team, especially if they've already got like a formula the way they're playing, and then they've just kind of like scrapped that because of one person. You do see it happening from time to time, but it's still one of those things where it's like a player should be good enough that they're able to adapt to whatever the tactic of the team is, not have the team built around them sometimes. But it definitely feels more like they're kind of changing everything that Ted's built to support Zava, as opposed to getting Zava to kind of like fall into Ted's system.
But do you not think that this possibly might be Rebecca I just want to beat Rupert?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But it's disrupting the harmony of the team that they have built. Yeah, I get. Yeah, but I was
it's like the reverse effect of the first season. She's now instead of putting her energy into destroying something Rupert loves, she's putting all her energy into destroying Rupert's trying to create with West Ham, and it's to a degree, it's to the detriment of the club, with obviously like Zava coming in and disrupting the team to the sense where everyone's playing well, but then you've got Jamie who's struggling, who was the best player, and you see it a lot of the times with like teams where if they've got two kind of like they've got like a star player and they bring in another player who's better than that star player. It's then what happens with that player who was the star player. Like, can they work together? Can they like coexist in the same lineup, or are they gonna be having to like rotate the squads and have like, because a lot of teams have like one squad for like league games, one squad for tournament games. Usually teams like Man City, for example, who have got the money to be able to buy as many teams as they want. But yeah, that's it. That's like another kind of bridge Ted would have to cross. But then also you'd think Zava's the kind of player where he'd want to be first name on the team sheet every game. So that's another issue he'd probably come across.
Interesting. Yeah, it's we won't see. I mean, this episode is different, kids. But as we get further into the series, you'll see what we're talking about here. But yeah, it will be a problem long term. So the next bit we get is Rebecca. This is the surprise that she didn't want to tell anyone. She's actually going to see this person, this
Tish.
fortune teller thing person,
psychic
guy.
It's her mum's psychic, Tish, who
Yeah.
has been mentioned a lot. Whenever we see her mum, she mentions Tish at some point.
Was it last episode she said she was thinking about considering meeting with her?
Oh, great. She's considering taking my money. Brilliant. Yeah.
Oh, my.
I just love how Rebecca is so dismissive of things, quite rightly, because there's no psychics. Like it's all nonsense. But again, this scene in itself, it hurt me a little bit. What she says at the end.
Rebecca's reaction to it's like gutting, isn't it?
Yeah. She goes in and she does all the standard stuff of like, take a seat and all this stuff. And but it's something about a green matchbook.
So she says green matchbook. She says about she says a thunderstorm. You're upside down and covered in water. Shite and 9 in armor. Yeah, which is knight in shining armor. Yeah. And also that you're going to be a mother to a child.
That's the bit that annoyed me. Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Everything she says comes true.
I know. But it's also the bit where...
Just not in the way that Rebecca thinks it's going to come true.
No, I think that's the point of it, isn't it? Is that you're meant to think that all this, but it's the bit at the start as well where she's like, "You have a pure soul and you're being corrupted by an evil soul," and she's like, "How do you know this? I talk to your mother once a month." I was just like, "Yeah, that's basically all psychics are. It's cold reading. It's cold reading, yeah."
So here's an interesting connection for you, and I don't know that I would have ever put this together, but there is a link between the green matchbook and the green soldier, because it links Rebecca to Ted and Sam, two men who she clearly loves, but she can't have them, but who have helped her regain her sense of who she is so that she can move on.
Wow.
It's not bad, right?
That isn't bad at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean that it's what's interesting, obviously, as well, is that like it'll come back to it with the green matchbook by the end of the episode. The other stuff, it's a couple of it's a bit more down the line, but I think the green matchbook bit at the end of the episode is what kind of gets Rebecca to start like questioning everything that she's been told by the psychic, as in like. Is this true? But it's obviously just like at that point, her cynicism's kind of like prevents her from like opening her mind in a good way, but also holds her back from like seeing a clearer picture because then when things start like coming a reality. She's kind of like in tunnel vision because of that.
Yeah. I mean, the way that Tish does it as well is very quite aggressive, I thought, as well. Like, she's not good at her job of being a psychic. If you go and you will be a mother, and Rebecca is quite right telling her to fuck off, because I'd have thrown that lamp at her. But it's this is the one bit of Ted Lasso that I was like, I don't like this. I don't like predicto of the future, because the show does not need that. It does such a good job of foreshadowing and setting itself up that we don't need to have a woman going, and this is going to happen, because it's nonsense. But
it did.
But it again, it is that false flag bit of it.
It is a bit of a kind of, in a way, weird way. It is sort of like a I'm trying to think what the wordness would be for this. Essentially, it's like Rebecca actually listening to her mum and opening her mind and giving something a chance.
Yeah.
To then obviously be completely cynical to it, and it sort of indicates Rebecca like opening her mind and opening herself up to like sort of pastures new as opposed to focusing on the past. I think that's the whole like narrative purpose of it, but they didn't need it. I agree.
Yeah, I just don't like psychics. It's all a con.
Yeah.
Tish did mention to her the fact that she saw a green matchbook, and then that, of course, as we know, we'll come to later.
Boink Studios is the home of Tom Clark's main event, Tom Clark's 6M podcast, and Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso podcast. Visit the site today for links to every podcast platform, social media, special announcements, and a lot more. Check out the site and bookmark today, boinkstudios.com.
So we go to the press room, and Keely and Shandy are talking to Colin, Isaac, Danny, and Sam. Keely says, we've got a lot of interview requests coming in for all of you. Sam says, oh, I'd love to get the word out about the restaurant. Keely says, well, right now the press would like to focus on Zava joining the team. Danny says, I'd rather talk about Zava than myself any day.
Danny's
he's so in love.
Such a lost puppy, isn't he?
Is.
So good.
He says,
the enthusiasm that it would be annoying after about 20 minutes, wouldn't it? But
sure. Keely says, I would just, stay positive, light, right? Shandy says, or say something so shocking your interview goes viral, like you eat your own hair.
I was like, hey, right, just for me, this is like the 4th time in a week someone's mentioned eating their own hair. And I was like, what is this about? Yeah. I don't ask. But yeah. But again,
I see.
It's that thing of Keely doing her job properly and Shandy going for the cheap, easy route.
Yeah. That's it.
Roy comes in and apologizes for interrupting with the Higgins. Higgins told me to come in and check on some dumb interview shit. I mean, important interview shit. And then Shandy, by the way, who the F are you? Says, don't worry, nobody in the press wants to talk to you. Like, this is why I don't like this character. Like, she's a device, like we said.
She's standing up for her mate, though, isn't she? She's like, Keely's obviously still reeling from their breakup, and she's trying to do what she thinks is the right thing to do. But you're also in a professional work environment. And it's just Roy's like, oh, you're Shandy. You're the one that used to eat your own hair. And I was like, oh, this is why that happened.
Yeah, well, as well, like she says to him, and why'd you break up with my mate? And then he does the whole, oh, you're Keely's mate. And like the players all do the same thing. Go, oh.
Yeah.
And then like, she says, why'd you break up with my mate? And he like looks at all of them as it's like, don't say anything.
Yeah.
Or says, well, nice to put a face to the hair. Which he could have roasted her alive, but he didn't.
He ain't got the time. Like,
no.
I think Roy's still clearly very torn up about Keely, isn't he? Like, he obviously he thinks it was the right thing to do to break up with her because it's allowing her more time to focus on to focus on her business, and in reality, he's as torn up about it as she is. He's just because he's thought he's doing the right thing.
Right, as his niece said, you're being incredibly stupid. Yeah,
he is. I love Roy, but he's incredibly stupid.
Mm-hmm.
His heart's in the right place, but the actions.
Oh yeah. Well, like you said, Joe, the way you put it is great. When you said many times here on the show that these people are like they're not some characters are not really humans, and then others are learning to be human. Like Roy's still learning to be human. Like had a real relationships with a real person who really cares about him, and she wasn't a one night stand. And
didn't steal his watch.
Yep.
He's got
a real niece that really loves him. He's really a role model for her. Like he's still figuring all this stuff out, kind of like Jamie.
That's the parallel of the two of them. Which is when we get to like the end of this episode, there is a lovely wee moment.
Really good. Ted and Beard are playing Wordle in Ted's office, and Jamie comes in to complain about Zava. He says, I know a lot of players like him, but they're all just self-absorbed glory hunters who only care about themselves. Beard says, Jamie, don't you think that coming from you, that's a little bit ironic? He goes, I don't know. Like he's confused. He said, but look, the point is we don't need this guy. I think we got a good thing going here, and he's already fucking it all up. Ted says, Jamie, I hear what you're saying, but I think we got to give it a game or two and see what's what. He says, well, all right, thanks for hearing me out. And he says, thanks for speaking your mind. Please continue to do so. And then on the way out, he says to Beard, and I weren't being ironic. I was being hypocritical. That's it. He walks out, and Ted says, is he right? And Beard's like,
He schooled Beard.
He did.
Beard looks so rocked by this. He's like,
oh my God, Jamie's learnt words and what they mean. He's going to be unstoppable now.
And then Ted says...
Ted's doing Wordle, though, at the start of it. And what's the Wordle today? Like, he can't even be asked playing the game. He just has to keep his streak going. Like, it's just these little moments between the two of them. Because Beard gives him the wrong answer as well and just gives him a look. He's like, no. But yeah, Jamie, he's right in what he says. But it's the fact that after the body language bit, I was trying to be empathetic, you knob. Last week as well. Like Jamie is growing and learning and becoming like a full Pinocchio real boy.
Do you think that he's been reading the book that Ted gave him?
Possibly.
Because
all
of a sudden he's like got like Ted's like all the books are how Ted thinks the person needs to improve as a person.
What was the book he gave him?
That I can't remember.
I don't remember that either.
No, it's season 1. It's a lifetime ago. But it possibly is because like again, as we find out, I think later on in this season as well, like Jamie is trying to be a better person. He's trying to become an actual human as opposed to a self-absorbed narcissist that he claims that Zava is. Like it's a fun little scene, and it also just shows that while you might misconstrue Jamie's dismissal of Zava as just jealousy, it's also he's thinking of what's best for the team, which he never would have done before because it was all about him.
I think him seeing someone like Zava coming in is a bit more like of an eye-opener for him, that he wants to be less like Zava and more like sort of like what Roy was to the team.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't want to be the shining star of the team. He wants to be like the backbone of the team, the beating heart of the team. And it's you get that with a lot of players where like they're either you'll see ones that are like the star player and they're the first name in the team sheet, but then there's always the ones that are like an amazing player who's on every team sheet, who if they miss a few games you notice them, but you wouldn't say they're the star player of the team. I think that's Jamie wants to be both, but I think this is him kind of to a degree realizing he wants to be less like Zava and more like, as Roy. I say, more like what Roy was like.
Yeah, and again, you mentioned the parallels between these guys, and it's just It's so funny how in the beginning you never imagined those two, Jamie and Roy.
We've not even got to Amsterdam yet, which is one of my all-time favorite scenes. In Ted Lasso. But yeah, if you looked at season 1, Jamie and Roy, to where we are now, I wouldn't have drawn those lines but it all makes sense. Everything makes sense. It's a natural story progression for them to get here without it being forced or silly or anything. It's just so well done.
Yeah,
it's sickening. I'm going to say that a lot.
Before we get the big scene in the locker room, they do go down the pitch for a sec, and Chris and Arlo are talking, and Arlo says all this excitement goes by one name, Zava. And Chris says, like Pele, if every letter was different. So, I can tell you, in this country, people my age and older, when they think English football, they think Pele. Like, I assume the guy is a true legend. Is he also a dumb question? So forgive me. In this country, we consider him to be a true. Is he there as well? I assume.
He was widely regarded as the greatest footballer of all time. He was a Brazilian footballer from the sort of like 60s, 70s. Played for the New York Cosmos. He didn't really play in England. He played in the World Cup here, but that was about it. He played more in Brazil and the USA. He tried to start like essentially like a football league within the USA. Tried to be a part of that in I think it was the 70s and 80s to try and like spearhead that movement there. Obviously, it didn't take, but just seeing some of the goals he scored, like he was mind blowing, like well ahead of his time. He'd probably still be up within like the sort of like top like 10 players in the world nowadays if he was playing today. Yeah, very, very good footballer. As I say, very ahead of his time. He's definitely in the argument of the greatest footballers of all time.
I remember there was.
Also,
have you seen
erectile dysfunction pills?
He did.
Did he really? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the? It's a movie in the 80s called Victory. It was Sylvester Stallone, and Pele was in it. Have you seen that?
Yeah, everyone's seen that.
Michael Caine was in it as well. Michael Caine, whichever one's got a Michael Caine impression.
It's like an Escape to Victory kind of thing. Escape to Victory, actually. Yeah, it's probably called Escape to Victory here. Yeah, but
and I guess
they have to play Nazis at football to win freedom or something. Yeah, it's daft, but there's a lot of people in it, and Pele, Michael Caine, Sly Stallone, as I'm assuming a corner flag. I don't remember. It's a Christmas film. It's normally on at Christmas.
It's like The Longest Yard in football, where the prisoners had to play the.
Like Meme Machine.
Yes,
but with less Vinnie Jones and more Pele.
I fucking love Meme Machine. It's such a good film.
So Ted goes in the locker room. He says, "All right, pop quiz, hot shots." That's a Speed reference, by the way, kids.
Yeah, lovely stuff.
What do you get when you combine one of Hugh Jackman's finest film roles with a fancy pants New York City getaway? Sam says, Jean Valjean Catskills. He goes, "Oh no, that's a great answer though, Sam. How do you know about the Catskills?" He says, "Marvelous Mrs. Maisel." And he goes, "Oh yeah, that's a good show." And they all agree.
Again, I think team nights are just random. They're watching Norm Macdonald's and Marvelous Miss Maisel. And the Iron Giant. It's so weird.
Yes. Ted says the answer I was looking for actually was today's opponents, Wolverhampton. Beard says full name Wolverhampton Wanderers. Ted says also known as the Wanderers. Roy goes no. Beard says also known as the Wolves. Ted goes okay. So our opponents today are the Wolverhampton Wandering Wolves. Roy goes no. Beard says just Wolverhampton or Wolves. Got it. So the team known as Wolverhampton or Wolves is wandering around the pitch today trying to score some soccer goals. Here's the game plan. Soccer goals. Roy goes, it's about getting fucking service into the box for Zava. And that's the plan. That's it.
Oh, what was the bit? There was like a pun written on the whiteboard as well. And it was...
Was there?
I can't. I meant to write it down and I forgot. But yeah, it's a proper Ted like.
Tedism.
Yeah, we're all ingullible. It's just something. It's just such a bizarre thing. But yeah, it's the wolves bit. But even when he goes the wandering wolves, he still has to get that in. Like just it's just a lovely bit.
Great. Isaac sees that Colin is not starting and asks if he's okay. He says, "I'm all right. I'm still a strong and capable man." So he's going to be fine. They huddle up, but Zava is meditating and speaking in some sort of language. They try to get him out of it, but it's not working. Jamie whistles loudly, and it doesn't work. Finally, Isaac just whistles very softly, and Zava comes around, and he goes, "I am ready." He comes into the huddle right in front of Ted again, like right in front of him.
Again, it's him overshadowing Ted. This is it. It's him eclipsing Ted in front of all the other players. But instead of doing the Richmond on 3 hands up thing, they all touch him. And Richmond on 3. It's just, again, not that he's meditating. He's got crystals in his hand. It's just such new age nonsense.
It's interesting that obviously he ignores Jamie whistle, he ignores Ted, but when the Captain Isaac does it, he's immediately like, again, it shows like he respects authority, but he doesn't. He still thinks he's above like the team to a degree. Like, so obviously, like he respects Ted when he's talking to him in the office.
Also, the first time Colin, the storyline that will play out between Colin and
it kind of highlights Isaac and Colin's friendship, doesn't it? Like, obviously, they have throughout the series kind of like painted these two as like best friends.
Yeah,
and
they've had a back and forth. Yeah.
But it's nice that like Isaac as a captain, but also as a friend.
Are you all right?
Yeah.
They're all touching him like Jesus. It's so good.
Oh, mate. It reminded me, weirdly, of... Have you ever seen that picture of Donald Trump in the White House where they're all touching him? It was like that, and I was like, I don't like this. It was before that happened, I guess, so it's fine. But, yeah.
That's because Donald Trump's a big Zava fan.
He's a big something.
Don't ruin Zava for me.
Yeah, don't ruin Zava. Okay. Jesus.
He's a big
Donald
Jesus
Trump
fan.
in a minute. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's and when they all leave, they're all pumped up, and Jamie takes his time. And he just stares at them. Beard says, "The Precious Moments figurine," and Roy says, "Little bitch." Do you guys know the Precious Moments figurines? Is that ringing a bell for you?
Yeah. They're referenced on quite a lot of stuff that I listen to. They're useless tat, aren't they? They're little
like little porcelain,
like little porcelain figures that are supposed to appreciate in value but never do because they're just it's crap that like Elizabeth Duke sell. You know, like the high street jewelry thing. Yeah, they're
some of that stuff's in my house.
Tchotchkes, I believe is the word. Yeah.
Ted goes in his office to call Henry before they go out. It's his soccer team's playoffs. They're starting up. He can't find his phone.
I've left it on the sink.
Yeah,
well, that's what you get for playing Tetris on the toilet. That and numb legs. And I'm like, I know that problem. Steam Deck will do that to you. Yeah.
So I go old school. And then he suddenly cannot remember Michelle's cell phone number. This is one of the most... It's a brilliant line. Beard says, "I think it's just a thing," and blows it off. And that to me is like, Beard should have been a therapist because that's the correct answer. It's not good or bad. It's just a thing. It means nothing. It's okay that it's not connected to stuff. Just let it be what it is. You know what I mean? Love it. Ted calls.
"Are you okay?" He like, "Ted, are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine." And like he's still, it's his mate.
Oh yeah, for sure. He knows. This is the bit that I bump into, and I'll tell you why. He calls, and this Dr. Jacob character is there. Again, he's a device. He's not a real person. Okay.
No, he's very one-dimensional.
Yeah, he's there with Michelle and Henry. He wants to answer the phone. I do not want to hear Trump speak, and I don't want to hear impressions of Trump. It's not funny to me anymore. It was never really funny to begin with. Like,
I think that kind of leans into this guy being like, he thinks that's funny.
Exactly.
Yeah. As a prick.
I hate him. And also, it's so unethical what he's done. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
even like Ted's reaction to it, and he's like,
he immediately knows that he shouldn't be there. Yeah.
But he still like goes with it. Goes, oh, it's the ex-president. Well, I've got some questions. I've
got a bone to pick with you. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. And they left it there. They never got. They would slow dance up to it and they'd pull back.
No, but again, he's like immediately, it's Ted. Like he knows what he's done is wrong. Like he knows he shouldn't be there. Ted's daft kid can't find his shin guards. Just keep him in your kit bag with your boots and you know. They're playing the Dragons as well, which is a boss name for a team.
I don't remember what we were doing, but we were trying to come up with a logo. Remember when it had dragons and machine guns and it had like breathing? I forget what the joke was, but sometimes I remember that fondly. And I'm like, I want to see that somewhere. We got AI. We need to have AI create this. You know what I mean? So I'll have to go look it up. It's fun. I do like the one bit Henry says. He says, tell Zava that many of my friends' moms like his abs. It's a freaking great line. Oh, we go down the pitch. Yeah, we'll go down the pitch. Jamie is clearly not happy with the attention Zava's getting. And out of the blue, Zava calls him over and he says, get open. I'll find you. And I'm like, oh, wow, maybe this is going to be okay after all. And it's not okay because he doesn't find him.
That's a fucking power play if I ever saw it.
It's a masterstroke in gaslighting, yeah.
I mean, that kick.
Also, he says it in a way that like the Wolves players can hear it, so it could just be him kind of like just catching them out because he's watching the goalkeeper. He's well off his line. There's no
and I was
he shouldn't be
that far. I don't know much
about
football
in the game,
but yeah, I was like, surely in that bit and not be that far out. But he sees it, and again, like I said, it might be like a massive power play on his part, so that the wandering Wolves players can hear him. But also, I think he knows that Jamie hates him, and he's like, I don't care. Yeah.
Oh, he's still asserting his dominance over Jamie for sure. He's Latin and Jamie, but also like I think it's like there are a lot of footballers who have that ability to see a goalkeeper off the line and go, I'm going to shoot, and that's in the back of the net.
Yep.
There's a famous goal that Xabi Alonso scored against my beloved Newcastle for Liverpool about 10 years ago, which was like that, where our goalkeeper was just off the line. I don't know what the fuck he was doing. And Alonso just kicks it from the halfway line and it goes, and it was like, okay, can't really, you can't argue with that.
That's why again that's why Zava is that thing. He sees, he sees the code that the football matrix is written in. Yeah.
Yeah. And in the midst of this, Ted is beginning to have the signs of a panic attack. But when Zava scores,
the close up on the hands again. Yeah.
Yep. He snaps out of it. And then we get this montage that I swear to goodness, this thing lasts.
After he scores it though, that's like the off. He scored from the halfway goal, and Roy, I can get fucking used to this.
Yeah, it was really good. This montage lasts forever, and we hear a song that I can.
It's Jesus Christ Superstar. It's from.
Well, that's later, but first we get Priest and Collins and his, I can't pronounce it, by Adriano Celentano, which I knew this song. Because it's a rambling bit of nonsense. There's no actual words in it, and there's no language being represented. And supposedly the story behind it is this guy wrote a song of what he considered American music to sound like. It's all gibberish.
Oh!
It's all gibberish. Yeah.
Is this that? I didn't pick up on it. I know that song.
Yes.
Right.
As well, it's all gibberish because Zava just speaks in gibberish.
Ooh, good call.
Was it Italian, the guy that wrote it, I think. Yeah. I
think so.
Yeah. It's like the you've seen the American Nintendo baseball game where they just made up American sounding names, and there's a guy called like Mick Nuts and stuff in it. It's just dramatic. Yeah.
It's awesome. But that plays first. We do get Superstar later. Yeah. So break this. There's a lot happening here. So the team goes off on a tear. I think by the end of this, they've won 6 in a row. They're getting all the goals. It'll look like the guys are getting opportunities. There's the bit where the ball's in midair and they're all going for it. Zava comes in from nowhere and gets a header. And I'm like, oh my God.
Zava is ripped as well. Like when he comes across, he's like that.
Yeah. It's awesome. He's the biggest star on the team.
Like, to be fair, it plays into like when Ted, like when Roy's saying the tactic, he goes balls to Zava, corners to Zava, penalties Zava, free kicks Zava.
Well, if you look again on that whiteboard, everything in the top corner is just Zava as well.
Yeah,
in there.
Yeah. So
that's never how they've played the game, though. It's always been a team effort, and now they've abandoned that, and it's all just knock it up front and let Zava sort it out.
We see Nate's watching from a distance. Rebecca searching her kitchen drawer for a green matchbook and then snaps herself out of it. Keely and Shandy are walking down the hall and right past Roy.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Who has a drawer just full of matchbooks that she has? Like,
where would you even get all that?
There's one from the Chuckle Hut and like stuff. There's one from like a comedy club in there. I was trying to read them, but
I feel like that's more of an American thing, isn't it?
We don't have them here. No,
we don't really have them here. Like I've been to bars in America where like they've got like just matchbooks on like the bar and stuff like that. And like,
although according to John Taffer, you shouldn't have them because if you get in an accident on the way home and you got one of them in there, you've overserved them. That's what John Taffer says on Bar Rescue.
Ooh. Interesting.
It's not.
I did not.
But I've been off work all week and I've not slept. I've been downstairs, so I've been watching a lot of Bar Rescue.
Bar Rescue's great.
It's not. It's not. I would love to do a podcast about Bar Rescue.
97% of those places are closed up because, like,
all of them have. Yeah, because it's all smoke and mirrors. It's all done on the cheap. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's the idea of how much are you in debt? $100,000. I mean, dude, you need more than a makeover at that point. You need serious look at payroll. Restructuring the whole thing. Yeah, just
I know, but it makes for good television, especially the one where it's next to the bar and the strippers are cooking food. It's just tremendous television.
That was a fun episode. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah,
I'm saying, what am I blind?
I'd have gone there. Yeah,
man.
I'm only
Keely and Shandy. Yeah, the bit where Keely and Shandy are walking down the hall got to me because they walk right past Roy, they don't even acknowledge him, but he stops and looks.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't say anything.
It looks more like they're kind of like in depth in conversation, doesn't it? Like Keely's like obviously in work mode, and Roy's just kind of like the whole thing with Roy and Keely in this episode, and to a degree Rebecca and Sam as well. Is that there's a lot of kind of like
unfinished business.
Yeah, just a lot of like them kind of thinking about what ifs, like the way it's kind of like framed a lot of it. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, the blanking of Roy is cruel.
Yeah,
and we also get Jeremy comes into the pub and tells the guys he's got a job, and then Sam is taste testing in his new restaurant. So all that happened. We also, during the montage, see Ted trolling through Facebook because he can't help himself. And he sees Michelle and Jacob being an item. She's definitely moved on without him. And then he's on a session with Sharon, which is pretty funny because he's complaining. He's like, it always bothered me the way he'd be like, I'm sorry, our time is up. She goes, sorry, our time is up. No, not quite like that. It was a lot more condescending. It was always, I'm so sorry.
Our time is up. And then she just disconnects. Oh, well, I respect that.
Yeah.
Well, that shows like where...
like a Dr. Sharon bit. Like, Dr. Sharon's got a lot of time for Ted. And I think that shows, like, obviously, where like how comfortable they both are with one another. That, like, he's not offended by the fact she's done it. Yeah.
And also, she's kind of like... She's kind of like clearly got other stuff to do. It feels more like she's doing those therapy sessions with Ted away from the team, as like not as like a favor, but as like a courtesy.
Oh, she'll still be sending a bill, yeah.
Yeah. But the fact that like she's still offering him the support after is
also weird camera. Why was it just in a portrait in the middle of the screen?
She must be on her phone.
Yeah, it just annoyed me.
And she's there. Well, I suppose if she's traveling around various like places with like different sports teams, like she could be anywhere in the world. It's quite late at night as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Also, Ted's drinking, but his hair isn't messed up, so he's fine.
Yeah, he's okay. That's always a good sign. Yep. We go to Soccer Saturday, where Jeff asks George Cartrick if Ted Lasso is the coach of the year, and he goes, "What? For writing the name Zava on the team sheet? Come on, give me a break, Jeff. That's not coaching. What Nathan Shelley's doing over at West Ham, now that is a tactician at work." I found that very interesting.
He's a fair weather fan, isn't he? He's whatever. Yeah, I hate George. This made me hate him more. Normally, I find him quite but he's devil's advocate, isn't he?
Yeah, he's devil's advocate on Soccer Saturday. And the thing with that as well is that like there's a lot of like Pep Guardiola's the one that comes to mind, where he essentially inherited like a very, very good team at City and a good team at Bayern Munich as well, and he pretty much won everything with them. And everyone's like, "Oh yeah, but anyone can put that name on the team sheet." And it's like, well, yeah, but also it still takes a lot of like good management to be able to get those players to actually play, which has been seen time and time again.
And as we already know, Cartrick is what did you call him? Like
he's like a journeyman manager. He's like one of those managers that kind of like they'll just go to like a struggling club and they'll try and get them out of trouble, and they'll have like a job for like life, but they won't really do anything.
So he's a clown.
Yeah, he's.
Is that Paul Merson next to him?
It is Paul Merson. Yeah, I think that's by design, because
well done, me.
He used to play for West Ham, so obviously they're getting him to talk about West Ham, and also he's on Soccer Saturday as well. That was the other thing, but yeah, he used to play for West Ham.
I recognised a football person. I was so impressed.
Yeah, used to play for West Ham. That's why they've got him talking. But then he's like, "Oh, I do love West Ham, but I love Zava more." But again, it's making Zava about the team, not the team about Zava.
I also didn't mention during that montage, we got a little bit of Michael and Colin texting back and forth in the locker room, and you tell Colin's trying to look over his shoulder and be careful. And there
is as well in that montage a bit where Jamie's finally about to score a goal.
Yes, and Zava just taps it in.
It's in the goal.
It's in the net.
Yeah.
It would have crossed the line. From the line. Yeah, and Zava just slides in and just knocks it. And then that's where he runs off, takes his shirt off, and he's got a tattoo of himself on his back.
Well, that's when they looking at like the gates of heaven or something.
Yeah, that's when they beat Manchester United. And they're at Manchester United. So he jumps up, takes his shirt off, and poses. And it's the exact pose, basically. And Jamie's like,
what the
looking at him.
But again, I had to stop it because the way it's shot of him doing it with the back on it, and then Jamie's and
then Jesus Christ Superstar starts playing.
Jesus Christ Superstar is playing as well, which is a fun little bit because Anthony Head, who plays Rupert's brother, I believe was in the original cast recording of Jesus Christ Superstar.
Nice.
Rupert, he also did One Night, the music for One Night in Bangkok from the musical Chess, which was written by the people from ABBA. Musical facts. Again, you can do sport. I'll stick to what I know.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, it's all right.
Also,
we've all got our strengths.
Also, you also got Bex and Rupert and the little girl who's growing up, by the way, sitting there playing.
That baby is way too old.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And he also swears in front of a child, which I didn't like.
That's Rupert. Yeah.
No swearing.
Be lucky if he didn't kill a man in front of her. I'm just saying.
Just finger swears. Yeah.
Well, Sam invites all the guys after they win at Manchester United to his new restaurant. He says we're still a few weeks away from opening. Please lower your expectations, but it's going to be an open bar, and they love that.
Yeah.
I love after that where Zava walks into the dressing room and Danny's behind him with his hair the same way. I'm copying his move.
Again, like this bit. This is the other bit I had to pause at because he does this and like Danny goes like slowly behind him, and I'm like, oh, Danny's just 100% on board, is it?
Yeah.
It never comes to anything, I don't think, but he's just like got a little shadow now. It's just, but it's just so
wonderful.
It's beautiful, yeah.
It's wonderful. I'm watching it now again. It's wonderful.
But
so
it's the fact that he's just like half a beat off with all of the movements. Like it's just not enough to mirror, but it's again just beautiful physical comedy. It's really well done. I love it.
So we've got a lot happening at the restaurant. It's kind of similar to the montage we just had. This is almost a montage in and of itself. But everyone's there having a good time. Isaac, and isn't this the dish that they've been talking? This isn't the same dish, is it? Was it moi moi he calls it? This is not the goat dish, is it?
No, that was jollof, which he brings
That's
to
right.
the Christmas episode. I don't know what. I didn't look it up actually. I should have done because I think food's my area. But that's the best I've ever had. And he's like, okay, no, it really is.
He grabs him by the shirt and pulls him down. He's like, look at me, I'm not kidding. He's like, thanks.
I love the way Zorro was like there, just like to calm him down.
Yeah,
it's okay. It's okay, Isaac. It's okay.
Oh my, that's just too much fun. Sam says, Danny says, is Zava coming? Danny says, is Zava coming? I made him a friendship bracelet.
And he's got a little tiger on it, I think.
Yeah.
But it's that weird kind of beading thing that was very popular a while back. Like, but again, just that, and it's just his face. I made him a friendship bracelet.
Wonderful.
The hero worship of Danny for Zava. It's so good.
He says,
I believe. All right. So what I'm looking up now is I think Momo are types of either a steamed dumpling.
Ooh.
Yeah, which they look fit.
The
sounds good to me.
That Sam was bringing out, to be fair.
I think I've been to. Go on.
I was gonna say with the dish he puts down in front of Colin, and Colin looks at it like, "Oh, it looks amazing." I'm like, "Yeah, it does. It does."
Yeah, I've been to an Ethiopian restaurant in Manchester that was like absolutely banging. You can't try these things. But yeah, again, always should succeed, but as we find out later on in the season.
And Michael comes in, and Colin introduces him as the world's greatest wingman. And to Michael's credit, he is keeping up with the charade out of respect to Colin. He knows Colin's still in the closet, so he's being respectful of his guy here, and you kind of get that. But like that'll come back later as well.
What a life to lead, though.
Yeah, for sure. And then we see Keely, who's with Rebecca.
Isn't it the bit where he's like, "Oh yeah, here is my Premiership football friend. I'll go and talk to your cross-eyed friend while that happens." Yeah.
While he hits on you, yeah. Good.
Hits on you
Keely's
badly. And that's how and then they'll go, yeah, it's lads.
They accept him because they don't have any reason to believe he's not who Colin says he is. So
no, why would you? Colin has hidden it incredibly well. Yeah.
And I don't want to ruin it, but when it finally comes out, everyone's like, "All right, cool." Like, oh, I just ruined it. Sorry.
When the moment happens, it is the only story for another day. Yeah.
So Keely says is talking to Rebecca, and she said, "What'd you decide after Tisha's reading? Are you going to go back and see her?" And she goes, "No, it's not for me. If I want to be scammed out of all my money, I go the old-fashioned route and become obsessively religious." Keely says, "Cheers to that." Suddenly we get Sassy, Joe's favorite characters here.
I don't mind her in this. Like,
I was genuinely happy to see Sassy.
I've softened on Sassy, to be fair.
Great.
Like,
she's awesome.
She won me over with the Rupert thing.
I think that's what it is. I was like, Before that, I found her quite abrasive, but like she's got her friend's best interest at heart. A bit like Shandy. Like, she thinks she's doing the right thing, but Shandy's just daft. Whereas Sassy is,
Well, Sam comes up and
what does she say when she comes in? It's like, is it sexy in the stink or something? As she approaches, it's, again, just like they formed this little sisterhood, this coven. Like it's just nice.
Beating the stink.
And also the fact that Keeley is so made up to see her, like genuinely, it's lovely.
And Sam comes up being all charming and very polite, and then when he walks off, Sassy calls her ridiculous twat, which is awesome.
Yeah,
it's like, what are you thinking?
Knows. Yeah.
Oh,
she knows, doesn't she? Like, I think they both know about Sam, don't they? Yeah.
Sassy asks if Ted's there. Ted and Beard are both. They flash to Ted and Beard in the booth. I love this spot. Ted's really struggling with the Dr. Jacob thing. He tells Beard that Michelle and Henry went horseback riding with Dr. Jacob today. Beard says the waiter, "We'll take 2 shots of whiskey, a single and a double, a triple. 2 of them.
2 of them.
Yeah." And suddenly, out of nowhere, Weinstein's cock just into the scene. Hardcore. And Beard's like, he does that little scream.
I think, of all the people I hate the most in this season of the series, I hate Jane the most.
Really? I love Jane.
I just find her like too much hard work. Like,
she's so high maintenance.
But for now, look at again, not to be objective, but she ain't all that. I like her dress. She's got a lovely dress on, but it fits in with Beard's aesthetic. But I think I hate her the most out of everyone. That might change next week.
She says, "Are you cheating on me?" He goes, "Yeah, I am with you." And she gets into his lap and they start making out. Ted's line.
It's like a Zava kind of nonsense bit. Everyone's just doing nonsense. Yeah. And Ted's just there like, I'll just go.
Y'all's baggage just matches up right up, don't it? That's a great line.
That's a good line.
Man. Roy sees Jamie by himself in the booth and he goes to talk to him. And I love how Jamie's reaction right away is, "The fuck do you want?" Like, that's how they approach each other all the time.
No. Yeah. It's mutual disdain.
Roy tells him, he says, "You frowning while we're on a win streak, that's a bad look." So Roy's thinking more team than he is anything else.
I know, but it's again, I think possibly my favorite line of this episode. "You frowned your whole career. I didn't smile. That's different."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, lovely.
Zava comes in. It's awesome.
Zava.
Jamie immediately reacts. He says, "Go ahead,
I was going to say, it's really well shot the way, like, Zava comes in and everyone gets, like, dead excited and you just see Jamie poking his head around the corner looking sad.
Kind of like Ted poking his head around Zava before.
Oh, good call.
No.
God's gift to those who have everything.
Yeah.
Roy says, "Best player on the team." Jamie says, "Fuck off." He goes, "It's true. You used to be the best. Now you're not. It happens." That is Roy speaking from experience.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened to him. At some point, he was no longer the best player on the team. And
you never will
Jamie's age is not
who comes and usurps you. Like,
Jamie's this time but it's not Jamie's age that's catching up to him. It's Jamie's, he can't get out of his own head.
Well, yeah, because like Roy says to Jamie about like, you could be the best player on the team, but you need to put the work in.
Yeah.
And Jamie's like at first very dismissive of that.
Yeah.
Until he kind of realizes.
This feeds into my theory that I have that like Jamie is naturally gifted at football. Whereas Roy had to fucking fight tooth and claw for everything that he's ever had. He's a good football player.
The two different kinds of footballer.
Yes. And the fact that Roy's offered to train Jamie to make him better shows that like he sees that he could be Zava level.
Yeah.
If he put the work in. But we rarely see Jamie putting the work in. Like he's always late to get changed and that. Like you know what I mean? And it's the fact that Roy.
Again, that's kind of like what what they've sort of portrayed Jamie as is that his character is very much like the kind of footballer who is not, as you say, naturally gifted. But if they just put that work in, they'd be world class. And this is pivotal for.
This is the start of the bromance. Yeah.
Yeah. But also like not just like building their relationship and their friendship, but also in making Jamie the player that he should be and not the player that he thinks he is.
I think Roy sees that. Yeah, he sees the prospect. You could be like that, but without the twattishness of it all.
But I think
training starts at 4.
I love because Jamie goes, when's it start? He's got like that, like
it's a dumpling or something, or a meatball or something.
He goes to eat it and Roy slaps it out his hand.
And the waitress walks past. Come on, we'll clean that up. Like Roy's very respectful.
I love. He goes.
Roy's respectful. Roy is so respectful to like service workers because he can't go to the kebab shop anymore because that's been ruined. But yeah.
And then when he leaves, he just like screams at Jamie, "Clean that up!"
And they had a very interesting back and forth about the prima donna stuff, where Jamie corrected him. Like Jamie has Jamie ever corrected Roy?
Well, we've already had it previously this episode where he was like, "I wasn't being ironic." Yeah, like Jamie's growing and learning and being like fleshing out into an actual full human being, but he's like pre-Madonna. No, I mean before Madonna there was no. And he's like, what about Tina Turner, Stevie Nicks? How does Jamie know Stevie Nicks? Like,
that's really good. He's been paying attention to Ted. Yeah.
Ted's got Fleetwood Mac on. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In the office a lot of time. Yeah.
I believe Ted's referenced Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac multiple times throughout the show.
Yes, I think he has. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rumors? Oh, they're all true.
Oh, well done. Yeah.
It's a Flight of the Conchords joke.
I love that show. You kidding me?
I do.
Oh my god.
There's one we should do.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
because it's done and over, and it's very self-contained. Yeah. So that works for me. I love that show. Sassy says, I'm going to go do a lap. If Ted's already gone, I'm telling you right now, I'll be attempting to scale Mount Zava. Not a fan of that line. I like the idea that she likes Ted so much that, Yeah,
no, but like she kind of blew Ted off, didn't she? Like Ted was like, well, do you want to make it like official? And she was like, no. But it's okay for hookups. And Ted does not need that at this point, I don't think.
No.
I think, though, as well, like, as much as it is all about, like, it isn't all just about the sex for it. It's like she genuinely thinks he's a nice person. She wants to make sure he's okay.
She refers to him as Marlboro Man when she meets him again, which is the reference to their first reference in the restaurant that time. And but she always seems to get him at his lowest ebb. Because when she meets him in the hotel, that's when he yells at Nate.
Yeah.
Because his hair's messy. Like she always seems to find him at his lowest points. And I don't think she does good for Ted.
No.
And the only thing I liked about Shandy at all, maybe ever, was this bit with Zava. When she says, I'm Shandy, I do PR for the club. It's so great you come down here, but don't be a dick. Show some love on your socials, yeah? Zava goes, I like your confident energy. It's off-putting.
Which is a great line. I might use that. I'm gonna put that in my locker. Yeah, it's.
Hugh and Rebecca are watching from a distance and see Shandy go to Jamie's table. There's a fit. That might be a fit right there. I mean, they're kind of.
Well, I think Jamie's grown beyond.
Really?
Yeah, he's like Roy and like. Not to use the words, but like the dolly birds that he would knock about with when he was younger, who'd steal his watch stuff. He wants something more. I think Jamie wants something more now, because especially like he's still. I don't think he's still fully over Keeley at this point as well.
Yeah. Well, there's a bit, isn't there? I think it's this scene, where like Rebecca is looking over at Sam, and Sam's like talking to the girl at the pass.
There's a lot of wistful looking. That lass, the chef lady as well. I've never worked with a chef as lovely as that. Yeah, they're normally just fat middle-aged guys, but yeah,
yeah. And then at the same time, then Keely looks over at Roy, and then Jamie with Shandy sitting down next to Jamie, and even then, though, Jamie doesn't look interested at all. He looks like he's thinking more about the fact that like I
gotta get up at 4.
Yeah, like. It's almost as if like Roy's kind of like lit a fire under him, and he's just thinking about that as opposed to like, oh yeah.
It's a lovely little shot of just wandering glances from person to person to person though as well. Like the cinematography in it is beautiful. But yeah, Jamie has no time for women at this point. If he wants, he can go out and just But he's like Roy slapped his meatball out of his hand, for Christ's sake,
I'd be devastated if that.
It's a braver man than me. Yeah.
But yeah, like as well, like there's a very so obviously like Keely and Rebecca are having that moment, and then Keely kind of just like not dismisses it, but like she's very much like the Keely approach of let's stop focusing on the past and start thinking about the future.
Yes.
And then they start doing a lot of shots.
They start doing so many shots.
What's funny is Keely says that after seeing Roy from a distance and then Jamie. When she says that line. Like, there are better things ahead than any we leave behind. Which is probably from something. I don't know what it's from, but...
it didn't twig with me, but it's just a good line as well, though.
Sam approaches Zava and says, "Thank you so much for coming. It means so much to me." He goes, "Tell me, where does your restaurant source its avocados from?" He says, "West African cuisine doesn't typically feature a lot of avocados." Not yet.
Well, he's got an avocado farm, hasn't he?
We know that.
That's the sales pitch.
It was like, why would there be avocados in West Africa? Traditionally require a lot of water to maintain and grow. I don't know much about geography, but I'm fairly sure West Africa isn't abundant in lakes, and I don't know. Anyway, sorry.
This is where Ted bumps into Sassy, and he tells her about his ex dating their ex-marriage counselor, so that's new. She says
she literally says this. She goes, "That's unethical," and I was like, "Thank you, Sassy." I think that's probably why I was like Team Sassy at this point, because like she gets it.
Well, she said, "Oh, that's borderline unethical, that." And then Ted asks her if she's ever done it. She goes, "Once or twice."
I'm a child psychologist, Ted. Once or twice.
I don't know where this is stated, and if this is a rule of thumb, or if it's just written down somewhere. Who knows? But I know that for a lot of folks in that profession, if you go 12 months with no contact of any kind, and then after that period become friends with that person, that is allowed. And people can frown on it, but that's what I've been told the guidelines are for a lot of those folks. Now, you can choose not to have any contact ever again, but the idea is you've had 12 full months with no email, no text, no nothing, and then you bump into them somewhere and you decide to go out or just hang out or something, and technically speaking, that's allowed.
It's not been 12 months, though, has it?
According to this, it has a year and a half.
Really?
I was going to say it could have been up to like 3 years.
Yeah. Because it all started a year and a half after we were seeing him. Now, it doesn't say after we were done, so maybe there's a gray. I don't know. Weird.
I still think it's wrong.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It seems. It
strikes me. Dr. Jacob strikes me as the kind of guy that sniffs around these women.
Yeah, he seems like a slime ball, doesn't he?
It says, "You ever have anything
in our brief instance with him?"
Yeah,
we know he's wrong, and
we don't like him.
No,
hell with that guy. Ted says, "You ever had anything like that happen with you and a client?" She goes, "Ted, I'm a child psychologist." He goes, "Oh, right. So yes, twice." Yeah. And Ted says, "Well, classic Sassy. I love it." That's when Sam hands out.
It's a good line.
Yeah, Sam is handed a box as a surprise.
Oh, the chef lady gives him it. She's ordered them special for him. Because I think this plays a little bit into the future, but yeah. And it's We don't see what it is as well, which is a good mystery. Until
the green matchbook.
It's the green matchbook with the oldest written on it.
Yeah. I love how in the middle of all this, Jane suddenly pushes off of Beard and says, "You're being really clingy right now." And Beard's like, "I'm so sorry. Like, what is happening?"
It's so weird.
Switch off, mate. Like, I can't be doing with this.
Oh.
As Katy Perry said, "You're hot then you're cold, you're yes then you're no." No one can live like that.
No.
Trent tells Sam that this place is wonderful, and he thanks him, and he goes to leave. And outside, he's walking away.
Had we even seen Trent at this point in the entire thing? He's just there, isn't he? He's just lurking in the background like a malicious vampire. Yeah.
I don't remember seeing him at all.
No.
Yeah, I feel like he was there when Sam invited everyone, so we knew.
No. But I mean, like when we've had like 20 minutes in this restaurant at this point.
Yeah.
And at no point has he ever. He might be in the background of shots, and I just didn't pick up on it.
I imagine,
but that's his job, isn't it?
I imagine he's probably, as much as he's in like enjoying his own sort of like private time mode in this, he's probably also in work mode and like watching like how the team are interacting and like stuff like that. Because for him, it's part of his book. That's a big. It's a bit before, but you never thought your book would be a fairy story. Did as well, Roy, before when they're on the 6-match winning streak as well. Yeah. Roy's fine with him now. Yeah. Roy's like Roy and Trent are cool now, but I think it's one of those things where like a lot of the time when you see there's like either a documentary or a book written about a team, that it's weird how like things can line up sometimes, and like that happens a lot more than you think, where there'll be like like Amazon do TV shows on like documentaries on like following a football team for a year, and the amount of times where it's like, oh yeah, and it was the best season they've ever had. It's like, well, that's just weird.
But yeah, he thanks Sam and leaves, and we get this lovely him walking down the street shot of Trent, and then just in a random like underpass. Colin,
it's literally like round the corner, isn't it?
Yeah, but Colin and Michael are going at it like hot knives, like fucking like Beard and Jane.
But
I got a problem with it, but like you're not that far away. You're trying to hide this. You're not hiding it
I was
very
gonna
well.
say it's interesting that Colin, maybe it's because they've had a bit to drink.
Possibly,
they're just a bit like, and they're just a bit like, oh yeah, let's
also, he is thirsty for Michael as well, like as the text message proved.
Yeah. Well, it's very, the way it's framed is very ominous. That like Trent walks past and he sees Colin and Michael.
Yeah,
and it sets it up that obviously because like Trent's like a journalist, and there's already been like a few times where he's like reported stuff that the club don't really want him to say, and it's like it sets up like as I say, a very ominous tone for
there's like a small, like, I want to say smile, I'd say smirk that comes across Trent's face, and he walks off. And I was like, oh my god, if he outs Colin, I'm going to be outraged.
Yeah, because you want to think Trent's a different person to who he is earlier in the show.
The independent.
But it's like, that's worrying.
Again, it's just very good foreshadowing.
Yeah. And the exterior and interior scenes of this restaurant were filmed in a restaurant at 20 Thurlow Street, South Kensington, London. It's the same location as the last episode of season 2, so it's the same exact place. Interesting. And as the show goes off, everybody knows about Leonard Cohen is playing.
Yes. I was like, that's Leonard. Yeah. He's like the Mongolian throat singing of humans. Yeah.
Yes. Well, kids, there you have it. There's episode 3 of season 3. It is in the books officially. We have plowed through it. And I say plowed because they crammed so much into this. My prep time for this was like 8 hours or something. Like,
It's season
so
3,
much.
isn't it? So every episode is like 40 minutes minimum.
Oof.
Yeah.
Like
wait until we get to Amsterdam, which is like a feature length episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
So's
Might
the
have to split it
finale
into
as well,
2
isn't it?
parts or something. Yeah, but yeah.
Crazy. It's fun though. I still love it, but yeah, it's a lot to plow through.
It makes me feel like there could have been a season 4 if they'd have spaced this one out a bit more. But
I miss this show.
it still works.
So much.
It still works lovely.
I miss this show so much. Like I can't even tell you. Watching it again just
So-
makes me miss it.
I know, and as we've said, I don't think we need anything else from it.
We don't need a Ted Lasso season 4.
No, I would like
I would
Jamie and
not.
Roy go to Spain on holiday. That'd be fun.
Just like do the Bear, but with Sam's restaurant.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, have you watched the Bear now? Have you?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you don't even know then.
Man,
I said no because when we were talking about
if we do it, you're going.
I'm going in blind. So
all right.
when we
Nice.
finish this and we decide what show we're doing next, I'll
Just
know
Sam
what I'm
going, cousin. Yeah.
oh my God, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a lot to plow through. Is there as well, but it's good as well. So
Edwin Akufu just showing up trying to buy Sam's restaurant off him as a reoccurring character.
just him pantomiming the thing.
Every time he opens up the restaurant, there's just a human shit on the doorstep.
Every time. So let's wrap this up, kids. What are your biggest takeaways, Joe, from this episode?
This is the start of the Colin arc, which I think is one of the most beautifully well handled coming out stories in like modern cinema sort of thing. It's incredibly well done, and the fact that, as we've found out, that like all the way through it, Colin has been making these kind of gay jokes about himself, and yet he's been living this double life that he didn't want anyone to know about. At this point, all of that is confirmed. We know, and we now know that Trent knows. But then also we've got Rebecca with her psychic stuff. We found out that Ted's ex-wife is now, knobbing the Dr. Jacob, the marriage counselor, which there's a lot of balls up in the air at this point. It's only episode 3 as well. So there's a lot of time to play. But also, my main takeaway from this episode is Zava. Let us bask in his glory. Let us worship in his light. Zava, much like Danny, it doesn't really work if you listen to the audio version, but I'm doing the Danny Zava pose that they do as they walk in, because it's just, while Zava is a mentalist, he is a delight. I think one of the finest poorly written characters in comedy.
Yeah.
Good point. Jay, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a really good episode for kind of moving forward where we're going with this, like the rest of the season. There's a lot of kind of a lot of stuff that feels not so much like unneeded, but like the medium stuff just it was clever that like the way they did it, but at the same time it wasn't really needed. But I think it goes a long way in kind of in showing like obviously what kind of is in store for Rebecca. She just doesn't know it yet. I really like the kind of progression throughout this episode with Roy and Jamie, though. I think that's great, where you see obviously at first Roy's like loving the fact that Jamie's not really enjoying life with Zava, and then obviously you see Roy kind of notice that something needs to sort of like change here because Zava's actually just getting in Jamie's way. So then Roy kind of becoming a mentor for Jamie. It's just a cool little arc. And yeah, as Joe said, the Colin stuff as well is really well done throughout the series. And this,
the Roy and Jamie thing as well is like there's so many balls in the air.
Yeah.
At this point, and they all land tremendously.
Yeah, it's true.
Would you like me to close with a Zlatan fact?
Absolutely.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, one more.
Because I do have one.
In Nigeria, Zlatan is known as Papa Christmas.
No. So when Zlatan was a boy in Malmo, Sweden, he used to play on a gravel pitch outside his mother's house. When he turned pro, Zlatan and Nike overhauled it with a rubber pitch that has gold goals. That is now called Zlatan Court.
Of course. Why wouldn't it be?
What?
He basically he got this is a nice one. He got a free rubber
like
football pitch.
Tom Cruise Scientology shit, that mate. That's bewildering.
It looks like a nice facility. I found a picture of it.
Why would you need solid gold posts?
No, they're not solid gold. He's just painted them gold.
Oh, well, obviously.
Yeah, because
that kind of takes the sheen off a bit then. That's less Zlatan than Zava.
Other than that, it's a state of the art pitch for just like this like shitty little field that he used to play.
Does he let people play on it?
Oh yeah, it's open. It's free. It's open to the public.
Oh, lovely. That's great then.
He said it was the plan for it was to help nurture the Swedish kids into playing more football.
Not notoriously a football playing country, yeah.
No, he's pretty much like he's pretty much their best player they've ever had. Although there is Alexander Isak who plays for Newcastle, who is a Swedish striker, who's Zlatan said will be better than him.
Ooh.
So clearly he's it's had the desired effect.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah,
nice. Well, I'm with the guys
for next week.
I'm with the guys. The Zava stuff is just wonderful. I'd forgotten how great it is. So I'm here for it. It's ridiculous, but it's great all at the same time. And if you think he's unpredictable now, just you wait, because it gets even weirder as we go. But But yeah, I'm here for that. I'm here for the journey between Roy and Jamie. I'm here for everything we've got here, kids. Season 3 rolling on. That is episode 3 in the books. We've only got 9 more to go. Then the wrap-up show, and we are done with this series. So with the idea is to move on to another show after this. But in the meantime, be patient. Thanks for plowing through with us. We hope you're enjoying what you're seeing and hearing. Remember to share the show on all your socials. Tell your friends about it. I don't know if it's the best Ted Lasso podcast in the land, but I can guarantee you it's the only one with the 3 of us on it, and the only one with that logo and everything else, called The Two Nations Under Ted.
One. Yeah.
Yes. So we hope you're enjoying yourself as much as we enjoy doing it. Thanks much, kids, for everything. Stay tuned for episode 4, and we'll see you then. For Joe and Jay, I'm Tom. See you next time, kids.